Well, EJ, it was reported that 4 years ago today, in a preseason game in Wisconsin, that Kaepernick first took a knee. No, this has never happened before, but I'm sure that Dr. Harry Edwards, Dr. John Carlos, Arthur Ashe, Jackie Robinson, and others have been praying for this day. Shout out to Kenny that walked off. I wanted to have a voice in here because I feel like we only had the same couple voices talking during these times. So it was very important for me to come over here. I keep hearing the question like, what's next, what's next? Well, you got to plan what's next. You have to figure out what's next. I'm very proud of the players. I don't know the next steps. Don't really care what the next steps are because the first steps are to garner attention. And they have everybody's attention around the world right now. Then leadership and others will get together and decide the next steps. So we know it won't end tomorrow. We know that there's been 1 million marches and nothing will change tomorrow. We know vote. We keep hearing vote. Everybody vote. But I'm here to speak for those that are always marginalized. Those that live in these neighborhoods where we preach and tell them to vote and walk away. Charles Barkley came to my high school. Just seeing him in the locker room, seeing his hands and his body, that inspired me. You can't see something. You can't be something until you see it. And when I tell you the little kids that have called me upset, I have a godson that has autism, and I just had to explain to him why we aren't playing. I have young nephews that I've had to talk to about death before they've even seen it in a movie. If not now, when? If not during a pandemic and countless lives being lost, if not now, when? That's all I just want to hear from the rest of the night while everybody's pontificating and thinking and soapboxing and all of that. We know nothing is going to change. We get it. If Martin Luther King got shot and risked his life, Medgar Evers, if we've seen this and all of our heroes constantly taken down, we understand it's not going to end. But that does not mean, young men, that you don't do anything. Don't listen to these people telling you don't do anything because it's not going to end right away. You are starting something for the next generation and the next generation to take over. Do you have to be smart? Yes. Do you have to make sure that you have a plan? Yes. Do you have to be articulate about that plan? Yes. All of those things. But that's what you're going to do. They're professionals. They know how to be the best of themselves. And so I applaud it. I applaud it because it is the young people. It is the young people leading the way. And I applaud them.
Stan Van Gundy, we saw last night Doc Rivers, and you could just see the emotion pouring out of him as he tries to guide a team through this time that you play all season for. You're in the playoffs. But the reality, it was almost like there were just been years and years that he wanted to unload yesterday after that game.
Yeah, I think the thing that strikes me, listening to Chris right now, I heard Charles on CNN talking about being exhausted. You listen to Doc last night and see the emotion and the exhaustion. I just, from my life experience, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a black person in this country. And Chris Webber's right. I mean, if not now, when? But that's been said for years and years, too. And I think what people have to understand is this boycott today, it's not about one incident. It's not about Jacob Blake being shot. It's not only about that. This is emblematic of something that's been going on here for 400 years. We have oppressed people, and it hasn't stopped, and the frustration is just growing. I mean, it's from slavery and Jim Crow and lynchings and mass incarceration and now shootings of black people. It's voter suppression. It's the weakening of the Voting Rights Act. It's all of these things, and I can just see the exhaustion in people, and the players are fed up, and a lot of other people are fed up. And I'll echo what Chris said. I'm really proud of them. Whatever the next steps are, they are, and they'll try to figure it out. But these people, anybody who's criticizing them, my question to them would be, what's your solution then? Because what I see from the players is they want to make a difference. They want things to change, and they're trying hard to figure out the best way to do that, and that should be applauded.
You know, Coach, I want to ask you this question because I always find it fascinating how you're a white coach, I'm a black player, and we get along so well for all these years. I mean, I've been in basketball since I was 15, 16 years old. And the dynamic of a team, where all the white players and black players, like I say, they all get along. Then you have the public who treats the star black players great and treat the rest of America black terrible. Have you always found that fascinating?
Well, I mean, I think the way we approach race in this country and the way most people look at it is, you know, it's depressing, quite honestly. I mean, that's how we view people. And I think, I think within teams what happens is we get to know people. I mean, my own feelings on racial issues are basically from hearing stories of people like you and Chris and guys that I've coached. And these are people you get to know. These are people you like and care about. And their experiences are 180 degrees different from what people who have skin color like mine go through in this country. And because you care about those people, you just more and more start saying, man, this has got to change. You know, I mean, 14% of our population is black. Over 35% of our incarcerated population is black. Like, what's going on here? I mean, and that's why I don't want to just narrow in on one incident. It's a bad incident, Jacob Blake getting shot. But it's just emblematic of larger problems of racial injustice. And I think we need to look at the whole thing. And I think the players are trying to bring attention to all this. And I think they're trying to figure out the best way to make an impact. And Chris is right. Like, we've got to applaud that. And they'll try to figure out the next steps. Hell, everybody's trying to figure out the next steps. If it were easy, it would already be fixed.
Yeah, and just to kind of jump in on that question, the reason why we can do it in a basketball setting is because we are respected for our skills and our gifts. We have international players all over. Systematic racism does not allow for one talents to allow them in the system. That's why. So you'll never get to know a Coach Van Gundy because you would never hire him because of how he looks. Or you would never be able to have those moments with each other because you don't have to build a bond because it is not that. It's about protecting what they've already done. And so I just think, first of all, shout out to Turner for allowing us to have these honest conversations. Martin Luther King has a quote, and it said that in the end, you don't remember the words of your enemies, but the silence of your friends. And I think that that's why it's so cool to have Coach Van Gundy on here. Or that's why you see players from all different nations coming together and working together. And I'd like to challenge everyone at home to just think about that quote. It is not about the words of your enemies, but the silence of your friends. And I just think those honest discussions, I think the great platform of TNT, the way that Ernie takes and works with everybody, the fun, the banter that we have. Yeah, that could be shown as the best of America, but many people do not get a chance to be in those settings with other people that they don't have the same background in. And so I'm very thankful for this opportunity to have a platform like Turner to let us speak about it. But there's so much work to be done. And again, to the players, to Kenny, to others, to you guys in the studio, just shout out, because hopefully we can continue having these conversations. But the world can't be basketball because it's a game. That's not a game out there. That's systematic racism. So you can't have people that are different when you have a system like that. You just can't.
Chris, let me ask you this too, and you and Stan both have been down there in the bubble. You know, we're up here in Atlanta, and so not experiencing what you're experiencing and what you're hearing from the players you talk to down there. But for as well as that bubble has worked in terms of COVID and all the zero positive tests, you know, you hear Paul George talking about dark places. You hear George Hill talking about don't even want to be here, don't know why we're here, and that kind of thing. but speak to the frustration that is being felt when something like Kenosha happens and you're in the bubble and there's no way to reach out face to face and speak with anybody about that.
Well, I think the bubble that the world has been in since the pandemic has taken a lot of distractions out the way. And sports has been a wonderful distraction for stress, for long work days, for unfortunate circumstances. But it should not be a distraction for the marginalization of human beings. It should not be a distraction. I mean, the bubble can be traumatic because you can't reach out, but how traumatic is it for kids in Milwaukee, in Detroit, to watch the news and to know that they can be killed? That's trauma. If you look at studies done and they talk about trauma, like I can't, EJ, the only reason why I watch the videos of the death of black men, and this is just going to take it way back on something else, is because Emmett Till's mother decided to put him on the cover and decided to put his picture out there when he was so brutally killed years ago. And I always think about her strength, because if she didn't put that picture out to show what lynching, what the KKK, what others were doing, that right there opened America's eyes in a lot of ways. It got the attention. That gruesome, ugly picture of a young boy, not even old enough to vote, being killed for a lie. So the trauma, I can't watch the news. That's the trauma. Or the trauma is to become cynical. Oh, he should have done this, or oh, another one. No, that's the trauma, when you accept this new norm as for what it should be. Or when they tell you, quit pulling out the black card, or quit being racist, or that guy was a criminal, or you can kill someone because they did something wrong. No, that's the trauma. We're fortunate to be in a bubble getting room service. And it can take you in a dark place. So I'm not speaking to each person's makeup. But the bubble that, you know, Butler talked about this and not wanting to have the name on his jersey, and I've always thought about this. I go in places, I try to dress nice on TV. When I'm out, I'm the bummiest guy. And whenever I go into a store or something, if you don't know me, you'll follow me. And having friends, they see it. And what happens when you and your brother are in the same place and you're treated differently because the security guard didn't know he was with you? Like, it doesn't leave. There's a such thing called survivor's remorse, whether it's the opportunities you get and knowing others deserve them. And so the bubble here, I'm sure, has made everything, has magnified everything. But I think more the stillness, the quietness of not being able to see your family, whether in Atlanta, Detroit, LA. I think the fact that there aren't distractions, I think that has given us the cold, hard fact that something else been going on out there. And I think that's the problem. My phone is blowing up from friends of mine with young black children that are really scared. And that's the trauma, because you shouldn't be scared in your own neighborhood.